Mark, my friend, how are you doing? Yeah, we're just wrapping up the dinner break, getting ready to get back into hour 28 of the impeachment trial.
It must be a compelling case. I mean, I don't know about you. I've litigated. It's never taken me 24 hours to explain a damn thing.
Well, and there's a reason it's taken them this long, is they keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. They have about 6 video clips that they play, one after the other after the other. And they're not proving their case. But I do think tonight has been particularly significant, because I think what we saw today is House Democrats, perhaps inadvertently, but throwing Joe Biden under the bus. And the reason is that they doubled down on a strategic mistake they made yesterday. And the mistake they made yesterday is they built their case on the proposition that any investigation into Burisma, the Ukraine natural gas company on whose board Hunter Biden sat, that their whole case is based on the proposition any investigation into Burisma is a sham, is bogus, is completely fraudulent. Today they spent over an hour arguing that any investigation into Burisma is baseless. And the consequence of that is, number one, even as in the tank for the Democrats as the mainstream media has been, today's argument forces them to talk about Burisma and the substantial evidence of corruption. But number two, it naturally sets the stage for President Trump's lawyers to come back with the very significant evidence. Hunter Biden was getting paid $1 million a year to sit on the board of a Ukrainian natural gas company. He didn't know anything about natural gas, and he was getting that money because his daddy was vice president. And I think Hunter Biden has gone from not merely being relevant, but now critical to the substantive defense of the president.
Can I ask you another question? And I hope we don't run out of time. Related to what you just said, this opening the door.
Yeah.
I heard Schiff go on and others that, without evidence, by the way, that the President of the United States left our ally, Ukraine, defenseless while bullets were flying and Ukrainians were dying as a result of the Russian invasion and occupation. And they were using that to buttress their argument. Excuse me. And I'm thinking to myself, who was the point man for Ukraine under Obama?
That would be Vice President Biden.
And how much money got to Ukraine, or how many offensive military armaments got to Ukraine while he was the point man?
In terms of lethal military aid, zero. And the entire Obama administration, Obama and Biden, wouldn't give Ukraine a penny. And I publicly called on the Obama administration to give lethal aid to Ukraine. A number of others publicly called on them to do it. They wouldn't give a penny. They would give blankets. They'd give MREs. But the Trump administration has given Javelin missiles, which can take out Russian tanks. And so every time the Democratic managers go on about needing to save Ukrainian lives from Russian aggression, so I guess under that reasoning, we should have impeached Obama, because on any measure, Javelins are a lot more effective for taking out tanks than our blankets at MRE.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think the vast majority of the people aren't even paying attention to this anymore. All right, a couple of quick questions. When you got to go, go. We can't afford not to have you in there, that's for sure. But, by the way, he can send a liberal Democrat out and then lock the doors. But anyway, a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
Where is the smoking gun? Where is the damning witness? I mean, the House voted. They're not voting prospectively on some future witness or And then my next question, if I may pile on, what does abuse of power mean?
It means doing anything the Democrats disagree with. And at the end of the day, what we've seen here, they hate Donald Trump's politics and they hate his policies. And this was a purely partisan impeachment. It's going to fail. It's going to fail because they haven't proved high crimes or misdemeanors. They haven't met the constitutional standard. And so at the end of this, Trump will be acquitted. But they've spent almost all of their time trying to prove two propositions. Number one, that Trump temporarily delayed military aid to Ukraine. Everyone agrees that happened. And that was done. That's been done before. Presidents have the authority to do that. Ironically enough, somebody who did that, who threatened to do that, was Joe Biden, who told Ukraine he would hold up $1 billion in foreign aid, foreign loan guarantees, unless they fired the prosecutor that was threatening Burisma, the company his son sat on the board, is making $1 million a year to. The other big proposition that they devoted their time to proving is that Trump wanted an investigation into Burisma. Well, that ain't complicated to prove because the president has said that on national television over and over and over again. Yes, he wanted an investigation into Burisma. Now, ironically, once again, so if their claim is it is impeachable to seek an investigation into your political opponent, well, you know what? The Democrats did that. The Obama administration launched an investigation into Donald Trump based on lies and malfeasance at the FBI and DOJ. But this is the worst case of Freudian projection I've ever seen, where everything they accuse Trump of doing, the Democrats have done and have done in circumstances that raise far more specter of corruption.
You know, that's brilliantly put. It is a little perplexing, Senator, when you hear Schiff and the other Democrats say, we have to remove him because if he wins again, it's a sham election. So are they not admitting that their entire purpose is to interfere with the 2020 election? This president has been investigated and investigated and investigated. Nobody's investigating Joe Biden.
Yep.
And so this entire process is interfering with the 2020 election.
They're trying to overturn two elections at once. Number one, they want to overturn the 2016 election. They want to take out the democratically elected president of the United States because they're mad at the voters for electing him. But number two, they're trying to take Trump off the ballot for 2020 because they think if he's on the ballot, if the American people are choosing, they can't win. And you know, one of the things I was mentioning to you a few minutes ago is that I have launched a podcast every night after this trial at 2, 3 in the morning, whenever it ends. I'm going and recording a podcast immediately afterward, just talking about here's what happened, here are the legal issues, here's the substance. The podcast is Verdict with Ted Cruz, and we're putting it out every night during the impeachment trial. Verdict with Ted Cruz. You can subscribe on all the different podcast applications on Apple and all.
You understand you're at the right place to be promoting that, right?
Well, it wasn't accidental that I called in here, Mark. But and also, I know the good people that listen to you each night, Mark, are looking for real substance. They're not looking for, you know, just the 3 minutes of screaming that happens on cable TV, but actually getting into the constitutional issues, getting into what actually is going on. You do that every night. I think we need a lot more engaging on the issues and substance that matter. And let me say also, I very much hope when the president's lawyers take the stage for their opening argument that they focus principally on the substance, not on all the process arguments that consume the first day, but the substance of laying out why the president is factually innocent, why a president has not only the authority, but the responsibility to investigate corruption and lay out the overwhelming, at least facial case for corruption in Burisma that supported and indeed made a necessity of investigating. Is
it your sense that the so-called people, Republicans on the fence, you know, a handful of them are still on the fence, or you don't know? In terms of witnesses.
You know, witnesses is still an open question. We'll vote next week. And it's really a fork in the road. If 51 senators vote that we don't need any additional witnesses, then the trial will end next week. We'll move to final judgment, and the president will be acquitted. Alternatively, if 51 senators vote we do need witnesses, then this thing could be prolonged weeks or even months. We know all 47 Democrats are going to vote yes, we need additional witnesses. The question is, will 4 Republicans join them? I don't know the answer to that. It's going to be close. I don't know the answer to it. What I've been arguing is if we go down the road of witnesses, the Senate can't do what the House did, which is a partisan, one-sided show trial, that if we do go down the road of witnesses, it's got to be fair. I've been advocating for reciprocity, meaning if the prosecution gets a witness, the defense should get a witness. So if the Senate, if there are 51 senators who want to hear from John Bolton, then we need to hear from Hunter Biden as well. And I feel quite confident that if we take that road, and I don't know if the Senate will take it or not, that it will be done evenly, respecting due process.
But let me ask you about that. Let's say they want Bolton and you want Hunter, and I got that. President can still assert executive privilege, and there's no privilege for Hunter Biden, even if they had the power to issue it. So they lose. You get Biden, and they don't get Bolton.
That could easily happen, and if you say, if we go down the road of the Senate subpoenaing John Bolton, there will almost surely be litigation over executive privilege. That litigation could take weeks or months. And you're right, the result could be that Bolton never testifies. Now, interestingly enough, with Hunter Biden, if we subpoena Hunter Biden, he will almost assuredly come forward and plead the Fifth. Mm-hmm. A federal statute gives the Senate the authority to grant Hunter Biden transactional immunity.
Right.
Which means that we could force him to testify and get to the bottom of, look, the real question in this is, was his daddy corrupt? Was his daddy making decisions in his official role as vice president and the point person for Ukraine policy for the Obama administration? Was he making decisions to enrich his own family?
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing to me where the Democrats not material. Well, why do they keep bringing it up then if it's not material?
Well, one of the funniest things, so they had in their talking points today, they said, we heard 17 witnesses and did not hear any testimony about Joe Biden's corruption with Burisma. Well, that's because they excluded all of the defense witnesses. They didn't they only put prosecution witnesses on. So when the House Republicans tried to call Hunter Biden, they said, no, we won't hear from those witnesses. But then they claimed as an affirmative point, well, gosh, none of the witnesses testified about it.
Senator, I know the media is celebratory here. They think that this is a fantastic job. You and I are lawyers. We've been around the block a few times. They're just endlessly giving closing arguments based on nothing. And so my question to you is this. Do you feel that they're getting to any of the Republican colleagues of yours that they're saying, well, that's kind of interesting and so forth and so on?
On the merits, no. And I will say I'm going to have to pull out after this question. Yep. It looks like we're going in to sit down. On the merits, no. Listen, I think Adam Schiff is a talented trial lawyer. He's had some good moments. I think being redundant and pounding the senators over the head with it, if anything, has turned senators off. And they haven't proven their case. That they're proving propositions that everyone agrees with. Everyone agrees that the president wanted an investigation into Burisma and whether there was corruption. They spent 10 hours trying to prove that proposition. What they haven't proven is that it's unconstitutional and illegal for a president to investigate corruption.
Mm-hmm. All right, Senator, I know you're running in there. Good luck and have a good snooze.
Take care. God bless.